So why don't you stop that bullshit? You can get your shit directly from what the cow be getting. A gorilla, check this, a gorilla, the strongest primate on the planet. You can take a truck tire, one of them big diesel truck tires, that motherfucker push it down when it's even blown up. The gorilla eats berries and shoots. You try fucking with a gorilla. Fuck with a gorilla. You fuck with his berries. You fuck with his little shoots. But you see, you got to eat all these things because, again, they have trained you. This is slave diet. All the shit you eating is slave diet. Soul food. Soul food, what kind of soul? Maybe the bottom of your feet, but that's the only kind of soul you got. That shit is crazy. When people eat, and I ain't castigating anybody, you can go ahead and keep eating, your chicken wings and shit, your chitlins and all that. Go ahead. But if that's where you want to be, then that's fine. But you got to understand that what you put into your mouth, that's what creates who you are. And if you're eating life, you participate in life. And you see, the thing is, if you notice, most meat eaters got to sleep 15 and 20 hours. That's to tell you in the animals, when the lion hunts, motherfucking predator look good hunting down his food. He sleeps 15 fucking hours. But then he hunts the vegetarian. And that vegetarian eats all the time. But that vegetarian is alert, fast, quick. I'd rather be alert, fast, and quick and have my wits about me than be sleeping trying to catch up on my life. Because the shit that you're eating in your stomach is taking all your energy. When you eat heavy foods like meat, it takes all the blood from your head to put into your stomach to digest that shit. That's why you can't stay awake. That's why you can't stay awake. So what I'm saying to you is vitamins, essentially what you eat every day as a 3-course meal is a vitamin. So it ain't that you got to take little vitamins. The meals you eat is a vitamin. It is. See, when you start eating, we can't say what Africans are eating, what Americans are eating. We got to eat what we got to eat because we surviving. But now there's a part where you got to say, well, shit, we survived long enough. We standing up right. I can even make a gun. I can buy me a gun. I can protect myself somewhat. I can do certain things. Now I got to start doing what my body used to do. What my organic template archetypic body used to do. And that is to seek out real whole foods and to find out what the Africans were eating, interdispersed with the so-called Native American, combine the two and understand which one of the highest, which has the highest value. But we cannot just start eating what the white man keep putting on television. They got 90 billion served now. It used to be what? How much is 1 billion served? McDonald's got 90 fucking billion served. That's 90 billion motherfuckers came over there. Eat that shit. And then when you heard Mad Cow, I thought that would be it. Good. We won. And the niggas was lined up for Mad Cow. I don't understand that shit. And they started in Mad Cow at McDonald's, and these motherfuckers was selling the burgers 2 for 25 cents. Niggas was online. I mean, they came from the television. They talked about Mad Cow on the commercial. I mean, on the news. They talked about McDonald's on the commercial. They went and bought the McDonald's. They didn't listen to that shit. And so I'm saying to you, vitamins?
They wanted to see how the Mad Cow felt.
Well, I'm telling you, the vitamin sister, be very mindful of what you put in the vitamins. If it isn't a whole food, if it is a food, because blue green is a food, it's not a vitamin. So when you put the blue green in water, if it don't start growing, then it ain't real. If you put the blue green in the water and you cover it down in the dark and then you open it up and it's frothing and shit, that's live. That's what will happen inside of your stomach. It turns back alive. And when you got living things walking around inside of you that's going to give you life, shit, man, it becomes a thing where your sex life soars. The drive draws when you want, and you can control it even better. Your cycle becomes less, sisters. And you got to stop bleeding for anything to really start happening, period. The headaches, your ability to be patient, all of these things begin to come back when you start taking whole foods into your body. You don't begin to worry about shit no more. And I don't, like worrying is something that's going to speed up your solution. Bullshit. You got to get out of worry because worry detracts from your life to concentrate on the problem. And that's another thing. It stops you from going through the feelings that you got to cry at everything. because that's a sickness in itself. They say that women, cry. Well, that's what a woman does. Bullshit. If you go to Africa, you don't see women start boo-hooing at every fucking thing. That's bullshit. People of orthobiotic civilizations who have strong genes and integrity don't cry, because crying is like bleeding. If you knew what was inside of tears, the nutrients that you leave inside of tears, you will see that the Africans, women, the only reason we start dealing with this shit is the only reason women start crying is stressed out women. And the reason why the Africans in those days weren't stressed out, or our ancient peoples, I'm going to say Africans, let's just say our ancient peoples were not stressed out at the time, is because the women knew that anything that had to do with stress, they handed to the man. The only stress your body was made to make was having a baby. And even then, there are hormones to protect you at every turn. But when you start fucking wanting to dunk a basketball, that's over. Nature says, I can't help you there. I got to start growing your mustache, and I got to start catch you up to where it is you want to go. And you're going to see all these man-like creatures, because now they're playing football. They got 700 women in a pro league now playing football.
Yeah.
Football! Hockey!
Wrestling.
Well, we know that. Wrestling, we talking about impact sports that men play. And that's equality. That's bullshit.
Okay.
Now, any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sister, real quick.
It seemed like that as far as the cycle, it started becoming more and more irregular as I guess it is true about the consciousness. Now I wanted to ask you, like, whenever it comes to like I mean have a cycle, which is just like it drops of blood, maybe 2-3 times a year. Is that what would you consider normal?
Normal?
Would you, yes.
Yeah.
What is natural for us as part of in our cycle? Because I no longer have that everything.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I tell you, there's 2 different ways to stop your cycle. But the thing is that people think that bleeding is natural.
Yes.
Now, I ask people, if you was taking a shit, women, and blood start coming out your ass, what would you think? Something's wrong, right? You start coughing up blood, would you say something's wrong? You start bleeding out your nose, something wrong?
Yeah.
Your body does not create menstrual blood just to have a menstrual cycle. You sacrifice your blood. You hemorrhage. And it was an unnatural thing that happened based on the war that happened over 175,000 years ago that changed the programming of the genetic structure in the women, and she began to bleed. But I don't want to get into that long story. It's in the book. We went over it in Womb to Womb 1 and 2. It's normal for you to bleed, but it's not natural. And the reason why I say it's not natural, because all of the accompanying symptoms that go with it are not natural.
That's right.
Every symptom that goes along with your bleeding has to do with some sort of pathology. So that means that nature never intended that shit to happen in the first place. Some women say, well, I don't have hardly any kind of reactions to it. Watch what happens as you grow older. Because every time you bleed, you shed the lining of the uterus. And every time you shed the lining of the uterus, do you know that within a year, you bleed enough blood, some women bleed enough blood to create a whole human being. Now, there is no thing that is natural that bleeds. No other animal, no other primate, no other female living bleeds except a human female. No other human being. But you guess what happens, though? They took a whole school of chimpanzees. And there's chimpanzees that were living in the wilds. They studied them in the wilds, and they saw them, and they were watching them do their shit. Said that the females that bleed. No homosexuality.
Thank you.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. Nothing of what you call your civilized diseases. They took the whole compound of those and brought them into a zoo study environment, started feeding them cornflakes, started feeding them the shit that they would feed natural animals in the zoos and other kind of crap. In 1 generation, the females began bleeding. Now, I don't say you gotta go check a chimp and say, okay, well, if this shit happens to the chimp, you might check yourself. But check out what happened. As soon as they brought that chimp from its natural environment into this artificial environment, it started to bleed. The female started to bleed, and then The next generation, they began to notice that the males were masturbating, as well as homosexuality. They were trying to mount each other.